Uh, from Newton's law, particularly from third law, we get a concept of conservation of linear momentum. Conservation of linear momentum, which is momentum is m into v. What does it mean? That if there is a ball, there is another ball, if this ball hits this ball and if they are of same mass, then this ball will stop and this will continue with that same velocity. So this is called conservation. Then whatever the initial momentum, the system will have the same momentum. Now we have a body here, a ball-like thing, which can rotate. And when there is a rotational or angular velocity which is given by omega, then the angular momentum is given by I into omega. What is I? I is called the moment of inertia. In all rotational motion, moment of inertia is very important where R is involved. In linear momentum, there is no R. R means the radius of the body which is rotating. You see, this is a spherical body. Initially, its radius was R1. This is R1. Initially, it was R1. Later on, this become R2. So, if R1 is greater than R2, then I is equal to mr square. Therefore, I1 will be greater than I2. Then what happens if I increases, omega decreases, or if I decreases, omega increases? This is a very simple experiment. It is a toy. In many mela you have seen. What I am doing, I am just making it rotate. Now, by this I am making smaller. See, it is rotating in a higher speed. I leave it, again I make it larger, and then I give another rotation, and I see it is rotating in a higher speed. Again, I make it, if I give a greater velocity, see it is moving very fast. So, because of the conservation of angular momentum, when it is large, if the angular velocity I is greater, because the R is greater, so it is moving slowly. When R is less, it is moving very. Now I am rotating this. I rotate it. If I move, allow it to become big, that is difficult. My arrangement doesn't do it. But here, if it is moving slowly, it becomes fast. So this is an excellent experiment with a toy by which you can show that the angular momentum is conserved. From outside, there is no torque is applied. Thank you.